Folks, hello and welcome to the Talking Crit that nearly wasn't. I'm Eric Tenkar, half of your host, your bartender in the OSR, and with me reporting live from Madison, none other than Bad Mike Battleato. Mike, welcome.
Yeah, I wish I could prove I'm here. Let me see. Maybe if I show you outside. See, this is Madison out here. It's not like down the street from my house or something. So I'm in a hotel room. That should prove something, right?
Yeah, to convince everybody that you're in Madison, being that you're in a hotel room.
Well, here we go. I got my badge. There we go. I got my badge. It's there. So that should show you right there. But I was gonna do it downstairs and grab people, but man, it is noisy. The Sheraton. So I've stayed in the Clarion every single time I've ever been to Gamehole Con. And let me tell you what, the Sheraton is rocking. It is noisy and crazy in there. Yes, it's absolutely nuts in there. And so I mean, I couldn't hear myself think. And it's like actually too much because there's so many people running around here and there, whatever. You can't really, you just can't get anything. I mean, it's just too distracting. And then a couple of years ago, I did the Gamehole broadcast from the, let me plug this in. Come on, you piece of crap. This is why Eric and I are professionals. Well, one of us is. I did it from the actual floor of the setup place, but this year our booth is like there's no plug-ins. I can't plug my computer in. And it's actually pretty busy and noisy in there too. So this is going to be. I was telling Eric, man, this is going to be rocking this year. This is going to be the biggest Gamehole ever. I talked to Alex. It is. They have more people registered this year than any other year. They have a large amount of walk-ups. They even have more walk-ups than we do at North Texas. I am sorry. I'm going to let you just know right off the bat. I'm going to be distracted by the Rangers Astros in my background over here because I'm a huge Rangers fan. My first baseball game ever was the opening season game 1974, and I've watched these poor guys not winning anything for 50 years. They did go to the World Series twice 10 years ago, but they didn't win the World Series. So they have never. So anyway, they're 2 games away from going to the World Series again. So I'm excited. They have a good team, and so I'm kind of out of the corner of my eye. I'm going to check the scores every once in a while. If a home run gets hit, I may whoop or yell or something. So we'll see.
When you said Rangers, I immediately assumed.
Yeah, I know. You're thinking New York Rangers. Like, oh, he's a hockey fan?
Okay.
Why is he a hockey fan? That's weird.
Wait. They're playing who's the Houston? Houston has a hockey team? I didn't even know Houston had a hockey team. All right.
Yeah, I get mixed. Some people get mixed up on that because when I tell them I'm a Ranger fan, I'm like, oh, that's weird. You have the Dallas Stars there, and like, no, Texas Rangers, not New York Rangers. But I don't have anything against the New York Rangers. So I don't know anything about them. So the cheat Astros. There you go. The cheating Astros definitely. Yeah, let's all jump aboard the Ranger bandwagon here. So I just got a note from the Glazers. They're at dinner. Okay, I guess I don't get invited to dinner tonight. That's great. Well, thanks.
Well, no, you got notified. You got your post dinner. Like we're at dinner. You should put your order in for takeaway.
I think. Well, I had a wonderful pork loin yesterday, and I had another wonderful one today. And so I have half the one from today still left because it was so, like they're like this big, right? They're gigantic. And it was really good. The one last night was delicious. It was a little bar called Catch 22, a sports bar in downtown Liberty, Missouri, because I drove here. It's a 2-day trip. Right. And then today I had one in Dubuque, Iowa, at a place called Dubuque Mining Company. It was once again a bar restaurant. That's a big thing in the Midwest is bar restaurants. We don't have a lot of those. And the only ones we have are like the chains, like Chili's or something. We don't have like that's something you see everywhere in the Midwest or the bar restaurant. It's a bar, but you like you had your pub. Remember, you go to your pub all the time. They just don't have those in Texas. I mean, there's a few, but they're really rare. You don't see those. You either have a bar where you can kind of order food, but it's really a bar. And then you have a restaurant where there might be a bar there, but that's not the main purpose. You just don't have it like here. They're equal bar and equal restaurant. You got these places. And so that's more, Midwest, East Coast, they seem to have those a lot. So yeah, I had 2 great pork loins on the way here, and I hopefully I'm going to eat good the whole time here. There's some great places to eat here, but we'll be working mostly selling Frog God stuff. We're going to be promoting our new Kickstarter, The End of Everything by Alex Kamer. The same guy that runs Gamehole is doing a Kickstarter through Frog God. It's a high level, deadly, very high level module about the end of the world. It's about the end.
It's a campaign from like 1st to 12th. But it's only 5e, and it looks awesome. And I may buy it to read it, but I'm not going to buy it to run it because I don't do 5e.
I know. I hear you. But yeah, that's our new Kickstarter. We're going to be pimping that at the show. It's going to be if you order it at the show, we're going to have a computer set up where you can order it from. If you order it at the show, I think Bill Webb's here. He's going to sign something for you. We brought some books that he wrote. And he'll sign it, and you get a free book. So we're trying to promote that, and then I don't know. Just I'm not in any games or anything. I'm just wandering around. I brought a bunch of stuff to get signed because I'm so bad about getting stuff signed. There's a lot of people here. So Ed Greenwood's here, and of course, I'm looking at my books. I didn't bring anything by Ed. I'm stupid. I did bring a lot of Jeff Easley stuff because I've been missing Jeff the last few years at North Texas. So I did bring a whole stack of Jeff Easley stuff. And then really nothing else. So I'm really, when I see somebody else famous, I'm just going to have to say, hey, what's up? How's it going? When I see Alan Hammock, I'll just have to say hello. And I don't think I brought anything for him to sign. So, yeah, I don't, I'm really bad about getting stuff signed. I need to get more stuff signed. I just don't. And I'm going to kick myself someday when these guys are gone. And then I realize I had all the other opportunities to get my stuff signed. I never did. I'm just going to feel like an absolute idiot. So teams you like the Mets. I don't mind the Mets. I hate Boston. Detroit don't mind. The A's, I hate the A's. So we're
I'm a Yankees fan myself when it comes to baseball.
I thought you were Mets. You're Yankees.
No, I live in Queens, but I'm a Yankees fan, and I rooted for the Yankees every year, but the Subway Series because I was a Bronx cop at the time, and it made me really freaking miserable.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah. Jeez. Well.
All right. Hold on. Let me address Al here for a second. Al, without even reading your comment, you're lucky you got a fucking live stream tonight. Okay.
That's very true.
We had Rachel's follow-up appointment with her cancer surgeon this afternoon. In Manhattan. So first off, driving into Manhattan, never a pleasant experience. Always a little stressful. And also trying to find a place to sit in your car while your better half is in an appointment means your head's on a swivel because you're usually parked illegally. You don't want to get tagged. We came back we took the dog for a walk, and I was like, Amazon device. Set timer for 90 minutes. And apparently I thought it did it, but it didn't do it. So I put my recliner back, and I was out for nearly 3 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I woke up and I looked at my watch. It said 7:53. I went, wow, that's pretty early in the morning. I went, oh no, wait a second. I'm in my recliner. Oh my God. I never even
have a show. I've got a show. Oh my God.
And of course, the first response to that was, I gotta take a leak, and then I gotta reach out to Mike. So I know what Elle is bitching about. Let me take care of what Elle is currently complaining about, and I also know the reason why Elle is one of the few or the only one that complains about it is that Elle generally is watching from a mobile device, which makes this an issue.
Oh, that's a no-go most of the time.
So
their mobile device support is horrible. I've tried before. It's better than nothing, but that's all I can say about it.
So Elle, that should have possibly fixed it. Thank you for the patience, and I've got the recliner here going. I was out. Mike
was dead. Yeah, he was.
Mike was like, "What the?" That's why when I put the links up for the live stream, it just said Gamehole, live Gamehole now or something like that. I don't even know. I was just like,
yeah, we didn't even talk. We didn't even talk today. He didn't know. I could have had a kick-ass guest lined up and we would have had no chance because they'd be like, "Oh, I don't know where Eric is, so who knows what's going on."
Yeah. So, I want to know if there were any good drinks at the con.
I brought a couple bottles of good Texas whiskey, but so far I have not indulged so far. Sorry. So there may be something down at the bar. The Sheraton's really hopping. So usually I've stayed every other year at a place called the Clariton, and the only good thing about it is connected to the convention center, but it's a really old rundown. They never remodel it. It looks like it popped out of 1986. It's just a really sad kind of hotel. I mean, I'm sorry I have to say that, but it is. It's just they never remodel. I guess they feel like they don't have to because they fill up every year, so there's no point. And the Sheraton is a nice new. They have a bar here. They don't have a bar at the Clarion. I mean, it's just really rocking. And so they have like all the events happen here. Like they have a big pizza party here tonight. They've got all kinds of stuff. So this is really the hot place to stay. And this is my first year here. And I don't know, maybe it may be too wild and crazy for me. I don't know. I may not be able to handle it here because it looks like it's really rocking here. So who knows? So we'll see.
See, I've never been at the Sheraton. I've always been at the Clarion. What I liked about the Clarion is that you had the 6 p.m. happy hour, 7 p.m. happy hour.
Yeah, they have happy hour. Now here though they have if you pay a little extra, they have like a little snack room, which is kind of cool. I just went there and got some cookies and some snacks. That was kind of cool. Wow. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe they might have a happy hour here too. I mean, I don't know. I haven't checked all the cool stuff they have here. But yeah, the happy hour is okay. I mean, you get free beer, but it's probably the cheapest.
Well, it's not good beer. Oh,
no, not by any means.
Not that it's Schlitz. It's Is it Michelob?
It's like Mick Light. It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's just a name brand, low quality beer.
It's a lower quality name brand,
right?
Really.
Yeah, nothing exciting.
It's not Bud. It's not Coors. But I'm not saying Bud to make a political statement. I'm just saying, it's not Budweiser, it's not Coors, it's not Miller Lite. It's that next tier, which I think I want to say it was Michelob, but I don't remember.
So anyway, yeah, I suspect there'll be some drinking this weekend. I'm not. I haven't indulged yet, so we'll see what happens, and we'll see if we'll see what happens. That's all I can say. I don't know. I don't know what this weekend's going to hold. This has been a really weird trip. I got news yesterday that Janelle Turquoise is one of my great friends and just somebody I've known for 15 years, and she's in the North Texas Hall of Honor, and just one of our first. I just can't say any good things about Janelle. She was hospitalized, and it was really serious. It was bad. It was real bad. And so I have been distracted for the last 24 hours. I could not concentrate.
Right.
I was sick to my stomach. I mean, it just took all the joy out of the trip because usually I have so much fun on the trip, and I couldn't have joy thinking about, I need to be in Dallas because Becky was at the hospital. Becky, Janelle's wife, was at the hospital since Monday. I mean, she checked in. So just real quick, Janelle got really sick, just out of nowhere, and couldn't breathe, couldn't swallow, couldn't drink or eat. And they checked her in the hospital. She started losing all the feeling in her legs, and they quickly ruled out COVID or staph infections. They just started pumping her full of antibiotics. I mean, they don't know what to do. Now, here's the wild thing. So I'm talking to my wife last night, telling her all the symptoms. My wife says she has Guillain-Barré syndrome. And I said, how do you know that? She said, because that's what my mom had. So my mother-in-law had Guillain-Barré syndrome. She had about 20 years ago, she had a flu shot. Within 3 days, she couldn't swallow. She couldn't breathe. She was put on a respirator. She started losing her feeling. Exactly the same symptoms as Janelle. And then we noticed that Janelle has had a flu shot last week too. So there is a very, very small chance. It's very small. It's under 1% that you can get So Guillain-Barré syndrome is in your body or not, and it can be activated by certain things. And one of the things is a flu shot sometimes. Very rarely, but it happens. And so my wife and her sisters were advised never to get flu shots. They were saying, just because there is the chance you're going to get flu is not offset by the chance you may get Guillain-Barré syndrome. Because for the rest of her life, my mother-in-law had to use she had to use an oxygen machine when she'd walk around. She had the little oxygen thing she'd bring with her. It was just really, she was just really weak and really awful. And she had it for about 10 years till she passed away. But my wife said, she's got it. She says, the doctor's not checked for that. I said, I don't know. And so the next morning, I texted Becky and said, has she been checked for Guillain-Barré syndrome? Not knowing that literally 15 minutes before that, she had posted on her page that Janelle had Guillain-Barré syndrome, that they found the doctor tested for it, and they thought that's what it was. And so now here's the good thing about that. It's not a good thing to have, but the good thing about it is when you know what something is, you know how to treat it, right? And that was the main thing. They did not know what it was, and it just looked like she was dying. I mean, it was just horrible. She was just going downhill. So once they knew what it was, they're able to devise a treatment for it, which is basically to zap your antibodies or you do dialysis and you change out your antibodies. And she's probably got a long convalescence. My mother-in-law was in the hospital for a month after she developed it. And so I from what I understand from what Becky's writing, Janelle's already doing better. So I think they hit the nail on the head with that. But yeah, you once you have it, you can't get rid of it. It's a disease. So that sucks that she has it, but it's good that they figured out what it was and they have a treatment for it. So yeah, for the last 48 hours were just a roller coaster ride. I feel real bad for Becky. Becky did not leave ICU since Monday. And so she had literally not eaten for 2 days because she couldn't leave the ICU because you don't want to walk out and have something happen. So we arranged for her to get food. We put the call out on the North Texas page, the North Texas chat, and said, hey, is any Dallas peeps? Can you go by and either drop her food off or do something? So we had some heroes that paid for food and got some food for her. And so we also set something up on the page where we're going to donate money to get Becky food for the next few days because she had to have, she had no, she was just scatterbrained because she wasn't eating. You have to put fuel in your body, and she was putting no fuel in her body. She couldn't even she didn't want to go down to the hospital cafeteria because, she'd have to leave Janelle for a while. And you don't, what if something happens while you're gone? So anyway, we got that figured out, and Becky's being fed, and we're going to try to, and it just made, like I said, I just felt helpless because here I am on the road trying to keep up with this while I'm driving. I'm trying to do my phone, it's in a little holder, and of course I'm trying to pay attention to the road and do the phone. And it's just really, it's really difficult because I don't want to drive unsafely, but I can't read Facebook while I'm driving. And so, I'm just trying to check in every, 30 minutes or so. And so, luckily things have turned out better than I thought they were, and so it seems like Janelle's getting better. But that's something that happened in the last, like I said, I couldn't enjoy the last 48 hours because I was worried sick about Janelle. I was worried about Becky because she's having to do this all by herself, and I just didn't know what was going on. So anyway, we seem to have fixed it for right now. So hopefully hopefully she's doing better, and things will continue to improve for her. So that was a real, I don't know. I don't like feeling helpless like that, and I'm sure you went through the same thing with Rachel the last 2 weeks, because what can you do? Somebody gets a diagnosis and you're just like, what do you do? You want to do something and there's nothing you can do. So,
especially first off, before it was staged, it was like, the boss, it's like, all right, so it's cancer. Well, how bad is it? It's like, and here's the thing, knowledge is power. Right? They say ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
And it can be, but it doesn't help any. Knowledge is power. Knowing what you're fighting allows you to
very much so.
To fight it. So God bless. That is good news.
Yeah, just knowing what, like I said, it could be still something. It's like when I was really, really sick about 30 years ago, and I didn't know what it was, and I was throwing up all the time, headaches, my vision was blurry, I lost a ton of weight. I thought I had cancer, At the time, this is the old days, kids. I didn't have health insurance, and so I didn't want to go in and check anything. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, well, do I go? What do I do? And so I waited till my insurance kicked in. I just started a new job, and I went in, and I walk in there, and the guy says, "You got diabetes." I mean, because he checked my blood sugar. Your blood sugar is like 500. You have diabetes. And so I honestly don't want that diagnosis, but I'm happy to know what it is. Okay,
right.
I know this has a solution. I can take insulin shots. I'm still alive. To this day, they're not sure how my pancreas died. But my pancreas died, and so when it died, I just started getting sicker and sicker. I went through about 4 months without being a diabetic without insulin shots. The guy said, "Yeah, you're probably about 2 weeks away from a coma because your blood sugar can't stay that high that long without damaging it." So anyway, but just finding out what it was, and they're like, "Oh, you have diabetes." I was like, "Oh, well, thank God." They're like, "Oh, it's a terrible disease." I said, "Yeah, but I know what it is. I thought I had cancer. I thought I was dying of cancer because I'm losing, all these things are happening. I'm losing weight, this and that, whatever." And so, yeah, I'm just happy that I know what it is now, So, but yeah, so it's the same kind of thing. Knowledge is power. Once you know what it is, you feel like, okay, I can look this up on the internet. I can find out what it is. I can find out what the treatment is. Let's see what's going on. And then, then we're okay. So yeah, it's weird. Like I said, the worst part is just feeling helpless. My grandson went to the emergency room last week too. He had a issue with his intestine that it's really long and complicated, but apparently kids get it, and it's just like no big deal. But it is apparently excruciatingly painful, and it's something twists in their small intestine, and you have to blow air back in there and it inflates it and it's fine. And I'd never heard of this before, but apparently it is not rare. And the poor little guy, apparently he's in excruciating pain. They say it's excruciatingly painful. And the kid just, they have it because they just scream and scream and scream and don't stop screaming because it's that painful.
I'm just trying to just somebody blowing air up his ass.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. Yeah, it's like an enema. They have to use the enema, and the poor kid, he gets his first enema at age 2. I mean, don't wish that on anyone.
Oh my God, dude,
you're right. No, that's the treatment for it. That is absolute treatment.
You do realize I was thinking a different grandkid. I don't even know what.
This is my little 2-year-old.
I had no idea. When you say
no, this is my 2-year-old.
I still think
you're picturing Jake, my 19-year-old. No, this is my poor little 2-year-old guy.
Oh my God! Okay.
Yeah. And so you just once again
feel really bad.
I mean, you just feel helpless. Once again, you feel helpless. Like this poor baby's crying, and you don't know why it's crying. And then when they figure out what it is, you're like, oh, okay, and it's something you can fix easily. And they fixed it. It fixed easy, and he's fine. But it's just a weird thing, and they say it recurs about 20% of the time, but then after that, sometimes you just never get it again. So I'm like, well, and then when you get older, it goes away. It has something to do with your small intestine being not developed right, or it's weird. It's a weird thing. And so you wonder what all these poor people, everybody that I've just mentioned tonight, we would all would have died 100 years ago. Diabetes was barely able to take care of back then. I mean, all this other things, you just would have died. I mean, because nobody could deal with this stuff. So it's amazing the medical knowledge we have now, what we're able to do. It's crazy that we can, take care of people now like that. And so we live in an amazing time, and, it's going to only get better as time goes on. They're going to be able to figure stuff out even better than that. So, yeah, I agree. Doctors don't check for anything. They get Mr. Bar. I don't think every doctor's like that. I mean, my personal doctors I trust with my life because they're good doctors. But I do know of doctors, friends that talk about their doctor, and I think it's absolutely true in some cases. I think that they have the drug reps come by, and they're always these hot little cute girls, and they giggle. Can you here's this medicine for whatever. Can you give your patients that? And they're like, well, sure, sweet little thing. And then they give some medicine. They don't even know what it is half the time, or what it does, or what the reactions are. I'm very lucky. My doctors are pretty skeptical, but well, let me research this and see if it's going to help my actual patients. I've never had a doctor. Well, I'll tell you one good thing. My doctor has diabetes. He's like myself, type 1. He doesn't give me anything he doesn't take himself, which is awesome.
Okay, that's good.
And so he recommended my Dexcom I have now that basically reads my blood sugar. It's in my arm. for 10 days, and it sends it to my phone. I can find out what my blood sugar is. I mean, he has one. He has a pump. He has all that stuff. So, and he takes the same medicines I do. So that's always cool if you find a doctor that is very well versed in what you've got, because I think that's true. I think some doctors just push meds, because it's they've said, I can't remember the exact status. I don't want to misquote it, but apparently they used to never prescribe stuff for ADHD or ADD, and nowadays like 80% of kids get that. And that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, because I knew kids back in the day, I guess they call them hyperactive or whatever. And, I just think it's amazing now that they give so many meds to so many kids. I don't know if that's good for them, really. I'll be honest with you. I think some kids it may help them, but I don't know if every kid needs to take that stuff. I really don't.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I have numerous doctors for all these different specialties because, hey, as a cancer survivor, you can have some long-term repercussions from it.
Oh, but definitely, yeah.
I'm lucky I have some really solid doctors, and my cardiologist, I have two of them, but my regular cardiologist, he is like, the less meds you can be on, the better. So the more you do for yourself, the more you do. Meds aren't going to fix everything on their own. You have to meet them halfway. You've got to put in the effort. You got to eat better, or you got to exercise, or sleep better, or lower stress, or whatever it is that affects what your condition is.
I mean, they can really help. I mean, like I said, I'd be dead without insulin. I mean, I always say there's some meds that you can't say.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that you can stop, but I'm just saying that by eating better, you're assisting the insulin. You are allowing your.
Oh, definitely, yes. Yeah, that's a big part of it. Taking care of your blood sugar and all that fun stuff. I mean, they used to not have sticks. I mean, you used to have to go to the doctor to check your blood sugar. So you might be going a month between blood sugar checks. I mean, it's crazy. And nowadays I just get it sent to my phone every 5 minutes. It sends me the phone and tells me what my blood sugar is, which is actually a little high right now. So I need to chill out on the cookies and the goodies downstairs. Yeah, I was hitting the goodies downstairs. So yeah.
So we had real quick. We had a shout out to Columbia Games before I would have missed you gone. Columbia Games, for those who don't realize, publishers of Harn. They do some Kickstarters to put some stuff out into hardback. Their quality is second to none.
It's really nice stuff.
The Harn stuff is great, and I'm actually a monthly subscriber to you get like I don't want to call it a zine because it's full size paper, but you get an 8-page new stuff in PDF and in the mail, and I back their Kickstarters. Don't know if I'm going to put a lot of their stuff into a campaign. I don't run anything at the moment, but damn, it is just good stuff, and the customer service is second to none. They didn't get big where you're not dealing with.
Harn is a niche. I mean, and to be a niche like that and to put out such good stuff, that's amazing. They put out such high quality stuff, and Harn is a niche. Let's just face it. It really is. I love their material. I wouldn't play Harn. But it's easily usable for regular D&D stuff because they pretty much make the best castles in RPGs. Their castles
you can rip their stuff out and put it into another setting.
Easily.
Really well. Oh, Bill says Bill Barsh is going to come over and crash your room, Mike.
Oh well, come on over, Bill. I got room on my bed. I said that the wrong way.
Did he say?
I'm here. My wife's not here. I'm at the con. I've known Bill a long time. You never know what whatever. I've got whiskey over here, Bill. So if you want to try some nice Texas whiskey too. So, it's Oh, it's funny. Well, I didn't mean this episode to turn into a Gamers Health Wednesday night edition, but I guess it did for the first 30 minutes of the show. But these are all practical things that that are worth talking about, and taking care of yourself is never a bad thing. By the way, Joe George, thanks to Joe and to Sean Pointer, and then I'm also going to shout out to Kurt Gould, John Lyle, Shell Puska. Am I pronouncing your name right, Shell? Shell Puska, Ty Beard, and who do I forget? Who donated money to my coffee account, and I was able to dine at pork loin places and write reviews. And I got 2 reviews down. I'm going to do 2 more on the way back, and that's going to pay for that. That'll be all the money from the coffee, because I only asked for $100 this time, because I feel guilty asking for money, but it's such a fun bit to ask for money to go eat pork loins.
Loin sandwiches,
yeah, pork loin sandwiches, amazing. That they don't have those in Texas. I don't know. I think we talked, and they don't have them on the East Coast. Dude, that's a Midwest thing, man.
No.
And they get a pork loin, they pound it, and the thing is, they're comically huge. They're like this big. Look at the picture. Sometime there's a Facebook page called Pursuing Pork Loins, where they talk about all the places. I've actually posted there before, and they give you this pork loin like this big, and there's a tiny little bun on it. That's part of the gag. And they're really, I never had a bad one yet. They're always good because the meat is very
tender.
It's not chewy. It's tender because they pound them. And if they do it right, the best ones are fresh ones, never frozen. And then the batter on it is sometimes the batter's crunchy. Sometimes they have all kinds of different batters. I had one time where the batter had little pieces of jalapeno in it. Oh my God, that was delicious. And then you usually have mustard on it. A big thing in the Midwest is serve horseradish with it. The one I had last night was horseradish. Oh, it was so good. The one I had last night was big enough where I could eat the whole thing. The one today, I'm sorry, I had to cut it in half. I tried, I couldn't succeed. It was too gigantic. But yeah, the pork loin. I didn't even know about pork loins, and then somebody said, "Hey." I believe it was John Lyle said, "Hey, you need to check out pork loins when you go through Iowa." I go, "What is that?" And then I started looking at it. It's a whole way of life in the Midwest. I mean, there's hundreds of these places, and they all do it different. And some are better than others. And so I usually get a list of the top 10. And I've been to pork loin places in Missouri, Iowa. There's not very many in Wisconsin, which is weird. There's apparently a lot in Indiana, and I've never been to one in Indiana or Illinois yet because I just don't go there very much. But I've hit quite a few in Iowa and Missouri so far. And so, yes, if you're in the Midwest, no, I'm not pounding my meat. If you're in the Midwest, look up pork loins and try to find a good review for a place, and you will not be disappointed. They're just, like I said, I've never had a bad one yet. Probably a bad one. I think a bad one would be one that is frozen and small. And it was chewy. And I haven't had anything even resembling that yet. The only ones I've had have been large and not chewy and not frozen and crunchy and delicious. And so, it's kind of like the Midwest version of. In Texas, we have chicken fried steak. That's the big thing in Texas: chicken fried steak. So pork loins never frozen, pounded daily. That's what you're looking for. You don't want frozen, you want it pounded. You don't want unpounded pork loin, you don't want frozen pork loin. So that was amazing. I had a good one last night, and I had a great one for lunch today. So that was awesome.
Mr. Gunn, I one time actually read an article about that, and essentially the U.S. subsidizes Chinese shipping.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So that is why you can order this bullshit from China from, I don't know, to Temu or one of these other places. It'll ship direct from like Shanghai, and you're paying $2.17 for something that on its own would have cost $2.17 at least to ship here if you were lucky. Probably a lot more than that. So yes.
Yeah, and so a few years ago, oh man, the Astros are killing the Rangers already. Oh, 4-0. Not good. Third inning, but they're absolutely killing us. Yeah, the thing is, shipping is, it used to be regulated by the federal government. They finally gave the control over to the Postal Service. And because of this, to try to meet their budget, they've raised the rate like every single year. It used to be they'd raise it every few years or whatever. Now they raise it every year, sometimes more than once a year. Because so that's why now you're paying like, I think it's like 60 something cents for first class letter. I mean, it's pricey now. Shipping is not cheap. I ship quite a bit in my job, and yes, it's gone up quite a bit. I'll tell you something. International shipping's ridiculous now. That's the one that kills you, because international shipping, it used to be about $15. You could ship anywhere in the world. Now, literally, I'm not kidding. It's like $35 to ship a package to anywhere.
If you're lucky, Mike. If you're lucky,
yeah, that's like Canada. Now, if you're shipping to the UK or something, it's way more. That's like $50 something. Yeah, it's way more than that.
So Bob G wants to know if you heard about Matt Lillard's.
Yeah, I've heard about that. I wonder if they'll have any here, because usually Matt's a guest here. So I wonder if he's going to bring his whiskey. I'd like to try it. I mean, I don't look. Whiskey's whiskey. I mean, it's all in the taste. I mean, it tastes good. It's good. I don't care who makes it, but I find a lot of the vanity whiskeys. I had a whiskey called Belfour, which was started by the old Dallas Stars goalie Ed Belfour. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I just don't see a lot of vanity whiskeys. To me, don't taste that great. But who knows? You never know. I'd give it a shot, definitely. Yeah, I know the reason they do it. Fully fund the pension volunteers, and sadly, the Congress should have forced everybody to do that. It shouldn't just be the United States Postal Service that has to do that. It should be everybody, because I tell you, people got screwed on that. Some of the people that don't have funded pensions especially the steel workers unions. Those guys got screwed. They had people having to go back at work at age 70 because once all the steel plants went bankrupt, all the pension funds failed, and they were screwed. And so I think it's kind of cruel that only the United States Postal Service is the only ones that have to fund their pension plan. I don't know why all the rest of them don't have to too.
Well, it's because the government would have to bail it out otherwise. So
yeah, but they have to bail out all these other places too, don't they? There must be other contractors.
They don't bail them out 100%. I know a couple of years ago, one of the localities in Rhode Island, their pension plan was bankrupt, and there were retirees that were getting like 50 cents on the dollar on their pension.
Well, for those who don't know about the steelworkers union, so the steelworkers a lot of these unions would go on strike, and so to get them off strike, instead of raising their wages, they say, "I tell you what, we're going to throw more money in your pension plan." And so the unions were like, "Okay, that sounds great. We'll do that instead," because the most of the time the companies would rather do that than to raise the price they pay. Right. Well, all this did was kick the can down the road. So you had these guys that would retire at age 55. They were getting a hell of a pension because they had been putting money. Union all these years have been putting money in their pension.
Right. See, here's the thing. The company was saying, we're going to increase your pension, but they weren't actually putting money into the pension.
Right. And that's where it got tricky. And then
that's where it is. And folks, just for those that are playing along at home and don't know the secret of pension plans work when the funding entity, whether it's a company, whether it's a government, puts money in consistently. Here's the thing that like New York City used to do, and a lot of localities, like the state of Illinois, is infamous for this. When the stock market was good, they didn't put any money in because the stock market was covering the needed amount that was supposed to be put in. But then when the stock market wasn't good, now there's a shortage going on. And here's the interesting thing about New York State. And I only know about this because I'm a civil servant, or retired one anyway. Yeah. And it's very important because it's your pension. Well, New York State pension liabilities for government entities, whether it is your city, your town, or the state government, must fund pensions, must essentially pay out pension obligations if the fund is falling short before it pays salaries. Mm-hmm. That's
right. Oh yeah, exactly.
Not every state has that. So that obligation means that for the most part, New York State pension plans that are government entities are usually at least funded at 90%, which is considered healthy. I, of course, would think that, well, if I want my pension plan funded, it should be 110% more than
yes. You never know what's going to happen. So for those of us who are still with us, I don't know if we lost all our viewers during pension talk. We can slide this over to Watsy talk, because before this show, I watched the video that you did, and I watched the one that Professor Dungeon Master did about the future of Watsy and what they want the future of D&D to look like. And I tell you what, that I don't think anybody's paying attention to this. This is pretty shocking stuff in terms of what they want to turn D&D into, and what it looks like it's going to be turned into. And it looks like we're going to be talking about two different worlds. We're going to be talking about OSR people publishing books, and we're going to be talking about Wattsy, who not so much publishing books. They're really not going to care after a certain point. And it looks like they're showing their hand in this. So why don't you talk about what you talked about in your video? Because I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah, I saw Professor Dungeon Master and the Irish lass, Dungeons and Diversity.
Dungeons and something, Dungeon chick.
And both of them were talking about the direction that Wattsy is going into, to digitalize and to change. And I was like, that's an interesting topic. But I was like, and both of them covered it really well. Professor DM does a great job with his videos.
Yeah, he does. I don't always like his stuff, but I have to admit he does a good job when he does do a good job. Sometimes he doesn't do. Sometimes I don't like his stuff, but when he does do a good job, it's good.
A lot of his audience is 5e players, and you kind of have to, even though he's getting away from.
I think that's what it is. He's just he caters to 5e quite a bit. Matter of fact, there was one point a couple years ago or a year ago when he acted really surprised to even find out there was an OSR. I think it was, and I was like, dude, come on, man. But he's been doing some more OSR type videos lately, so he's getting a little bit on board with the OSR, hopefully.
So here's they're talking, and both of them are talking about like currently what Wattsy is doing. But I wanted to go and dig a little deeper, so I started doing some articles on it, and I came across Watsy's, I should say Hasbro's, own summary of its third quarter 2022 presentation, and there it talks about how Dungeons and Dragons as a brand has to bring in more money, and how they have this long-term funding goal of increasing the money they're bringing in. And they kept to a lot of the stuff. They said they were going to pretty much have to lower expenses. They did. They lowered their worldwide workforce about 10% last year from the articles that I read. That's a huge chopping of companies' expenses. Because don't just think salaries, health benefits. And I know that's really where a lot of the expenses come into play. You lower your head count, you're saving money right off the top. Mm-hmm. And then reading what they were talking about, they were more worried about increasing profits and profitability than they were revenue. Sure. So, and you would think that revenue and profitability go hand in hand, but if you're lowering costs, and if you're changing your market, they were stressing digital. Well, if you're changing your market to digital, you're lowering more costs, right? You're lowering the cost to print, you're lowering the cost to distribute.
Oh, yeah. And printing has gone up, like we just talked about. Printing has gone up quite a bit in the last few years. Definitely, yeah.
So if you're doing that, then you can lose some market share. You can lose some of your customers. Doesn't make a difference as long as they are making more profit. That is what they are looking for. That is the goose. Now, they were also talking about pushing their digital marketplace. Well, they don't have much of a digital marketplace beyond D&D Beyond for Wattsy, But D&D Beyond, once this new VTT is in play, my guess is going to be a subscription plus a microtransaction. And when I say microtransaction, I'm not talking about 25 cents or 99 cents. I'm talking $2.99, $4.99. You get all the maps for this, that.
Right.
Get your maps and get your 3D models for whatever. This is how, again, once expenses on digital are spent, the recurring cost is minimal. With print, you have to, we left this part out, you have to store what you don't sell.
Storage is a huge expense, yes.
It's a huge expense.
Because you're buying warehouse. That's when you buy warehouses. You have to buy,
And then, of course, we see that Watty is cutting out the middleman, right? Random House deal, that ends. Watty is going to do a lot more of their own distributing. Well, what does that mean? That means that instead of selling to the distributor, you sell to the distributor at a lower price than the distributor is going to resell. Now you can sell to the market at the retailer market at the price that the distributor was going to. Again, more profit built in to each physical book. Are physical books going to go away? No. Are they going to be less important to Watty? Yes. Here, I'll make a prediction. I predict that within the next, maybe not the initial books, maybe not the initial core, core 3 books for the rebooted D&D, but I will make a bet that when the adventures start releasing, when the supplements start releasing in hardcover, we're going to find that 128 pages is no longer as thick as 128 pages was, because they're going to be using cheaper paper.
Yeah.
And cheaper paper, believe it or not, isn't just cheaper paper, but if it's thinner paper, it also saves on shipping, because they get an extra 2 books per shipping container, whatever.
But man, who wants that crap? I don't want cheap books.
No,
and I guess they're like, I guess that's what they're. Is it going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy? We're like, well, nobody's buying our books now, or nobody's buying them because they're crappy, and nobody wants to buy crap books because, I look at the stuff the OSR publishers putting out; it's high quality. Most stuff is very high quality. The OSR publishers.
And most OSR talking is about selling. 3% of OSR talk is about playing OSR games. 90% selling them. Listen, your math is piss poor, because what's the other 7% doing? First off, right, don't do this to a guy.
It doesn't add up to 100.
Okay, it's like explaining that to my CO, and it's like, well, I don't understand how this works. It doesn't add to 100. So usually your questions are a bit more on point. I understand what you're saying though, because a lot of it is there is a lot of hype about making sure people know about the latest adventure, the latest Kickstarter. Sure. But you know what? That is about gaming in general. Don't just say the OSR. 5e is as much about that. And by the way, if you go to certain groups, so when you're talking about 3% of OSR talk, I don't know if you're talking videos. I don't know if you're talking blogs. I don't know if you're talking social media. If you go to social media and you go to your main feed, yes, a huge amount of it tends to be advertisements, whether paid for or people bring it up. But when you go to groups that are supposed to be talking about old school gaming, groups that are supposed to be talking about AD&D 1E, 2E, the questions are usually about that. It seems like it's 90% selling, because you personally, and I'm going to make a statement, I'm going to assume for you, but you were 90% inclined not to buy anything. So for you, every advertisement or anybody talking about their new product, or somebody going, hey, I just found Barrel Maze for the first time and it was a great experience, you're like, I don't want to hear about that shit. I just want to hear about, two-handed fighting, or I got to find out. You don't want to hear about it. It makes it stick out. Okay. But let's be honest. If you are creating stuff, you want people to know about it. And as an OSR marketplace, drive-through does better than I would expect.
And that's where a lot of the OSR publishers make their hay, right? Is drive-through. Yep. Because that's that cuts down on costs a lot of times, especially when you're just offering a PDF or something digital. It cuts down on costs, which a lot of OSR publishers are very concerned about costs, and I think that's where a lot of the smaller publishers really make their cash is drive-through. So
yeah, and not Lulu. We used to think it was Lulu back wait a decade ago.
People probably was Lulu, yeah, a long time ago. I'm sure.
Yeah, but not anymore. Mr. Gunn. Professor DM does not run 5e. I don't think he ever has. Nope, not saying he runs it. I'm saying his audience is largely 5e players, or maybe not even 5e players, but they're less grognardy than those that hang out in the tavern.
Very new schooly, not old schooly. Yes.
Yes, profit is net. Revenue is gross. So I could. It's almost like, hey, well, let's talk about your personal taxes. I'm going to pull out random round numbers. You make you get paid $100,000 for your yearly salary. After the federal government, after the state government, your local government, after Social Security and Medicare taxes, maybe you come out with $60,000. Well, now you're going, well, that's my profit. Well, no, that's not your profit, because your profit would be, again, after expenses. Well, you still have further expenses that have to get paid, right, before you can consider what your money is profit. So you're going to have to pay rent, utilities, your basic food expenses. Not your going out to eat expenses, but your basic food expenses. And maybe that brings it down to, I don't know, $30,000. So that $100,000 that looked really good on paper and people said, hey, you're rich, maybe it's down to $30,000. Oh, well, your car payment, well, that's an optional expense. Well, maybe not in every location. So all these things come into play, and there's a reason why when you look at net profits, and I've talked to a CFO and gotten a little education on this. When companies present numbers, they present two books mostly, right? They present one set of books, which is a more accurate retelling, and then you get the second set of books, which is me taking that trip to grandma's house because grandma desperately wanted to see her granddaughter. Well, I'm writing that off as an expense, where, because maybe I can,
right?
So to show more, well, then, this is going here, this is going there. They have two sets of books, these companies, and even Hasbro does it. If you look at their financials, you're going to see one set of numbers and then another set of numbers right next to it, and it's the one is the more truthful number than the other. But the less truthful one is the one that they try to show off to the investors, those buying stocks and all that stuff. Look at our profit margin, but not really what it says. So Chris Cox promised 150% increase in profits by 24-25. Exactly. And here's part of the issue to that increase in profits. You can certainly increase profits the old-fashioned way by doing better work, but that's not the Hasbro way. That's not the Watty way. The Watty way is let's fire 10% of our workforce because you can always trim the fat.
Yeah, and now just to let you know that's most big corporations. That's what they do to increase profits. So that Watsy's not different, or Hasbro's not different than a lot of big companies. Whenever you get a new CEO or a new guy comes in, the first thing you do is fire 10% of the workforce because it makes their books look good for the first quarter. Like, oh, look at all this money we saved. Wow, this is crazy. This guy's great. This guy's a genius. That's not endemic of just Watty or Hasbro. That's just the way corporations do business.
Right. I mean, here on the government level, civil service level, people often state, why are we paying so much overtime to uniformed services? Like, like police and firemen. Just hire more, and then you get more work done, and you don't have to pay this overtime, because this overtime looks bad, and it does look bad. But here's the unwritten, untold secret: overtime doesn't incur additional healthcare expenses. What do I mean by that? When you are working for someone, whether it's a private industry, whether it's a public entity, whether you're a civil servant, but if you have healthcare as part of your salary or your benefits, right? For you, it's free, or you're paying a premium into it. But for your company or your employer, that could be $15,000, $20,000 a head.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Easy. And in the case of civil servants, it's also more pensions to pay out. They'd rather pay out a slightly higher pension to one person than to pay, or multiple people, than to have to pay out additional pension, which is going to be more expensive. It's a future liability. So that's why they do more with less. Most places would rather pay overtime than hire additional employees. And it doesn't look like that sometimes on paper, but those healthcare expenses, or if the company offers insurance, like accident insurance, some companies offer accidental death, $100,000, just a free policy for you. They're still paying. It's not free to them. They're still paying for it. It's a benefit to bring you in that isn't a salary, but trust me, they'd rather not have to get additional.
Now, one of the things I thought was interesting in Professor DM's presentation is he showed the stock price for Hasbro, which is half of what it was last year, which is interesting. So that, but I mean, as much as I love to bag on Watty and Hasbro as not knowing what the hell they're doing, that's not. I don't know if that's unexpected in a year like this year, where they're basically in between editions. I mean, this is. I've thought since the very beginning of the year, this is a write-off year for them. That they don't have a new edition ready to go. They're waiting for the 50th anniversary. They're just kind of. I mean, the one big toe stub this year was the stupid OGL bullshit. But other than that, this year's pretty much gone like I thought. They're really not releasing a lot. They don't really care about what they're releasing. It's not. They're not really promoting anything. I mean, I think they thought the movie was going to be a lot bigger than it was. And I'm Eric and I are on record as saying we liked the movie, but it just didn't make its money back really. But I think they thought that was going to be huge, and which would have helped them out a lot this year. But the bottom line is, I think this is always going to be a write-off year for them, and they're using this year to build on what they're going to be doing next year and the year after, because the last time they switched editions between 4th and 5th edition, they had the same year. They had the same kind of thing where they didn't really release anything. They lost a lot of that was the year where they released all the nostalgia products because they're trying to get the old guard back in there. So yeah, which is great. That the nostalgia products were awesome. But that just shows you that's not something they would have normally released, but they did because they had nothing else going there. You're not going to support a game that you're not going to support anymore.
But here's the thing. Is D&D as a brand enough of an engine to drive Hasbro's price? Remember, Watsy's not its own company.
Yeah.
It's part of a much larger company, Hasbro. Magic the Gathering, if Magic the Gathering suddenly became untouchable because, I don't know, somebody associated with it became known as an abuser of some sort, and maybe made political statements that were for or pro against Israel or Palestine, which is apparently the no-go zone right now.
Oh boy, yeah, big time.
If they did that, right, and then suddenly it was a boycott of Magic the Gathering, that might move the needle on Hasbro.
They've had a lot of pushback. Magic the Gathering has had a lot of pushback this year. I it's been around for almost 30 years now. You may be seeing a little product fatigue finally. And because this happens for a lot of industries when you get, and I thought Professor DM made a good point. I've made this point many times, is that the trajectory of some of this stuff, it almost perfectly mirrors the comic boom of the early 90s, in which I was intimately involved in. I was a huge comic dealer and worked tons of conventions back then. and that was the year of the crazy. I mean, or the few years when they had the death of Superman, and they had all these events. The Batman got his back broke, and this had whatever, and then they had the crazy covers. Each issue had like 7 covers, and this one has 3D cover and this and that, and it was all this effect over actual product, and the speculators were out there just buying, and then they all got stuck with this shitty product that now they can't sell for nickel a piece. And I think right now, I mean, he compared that to Magic. Now I think that you're seeing a lot of that Magic. They're doing all these stunts. It's not about the quality of the Magic the Gathering cards, and normally these guys are junkies anyway. They're buying they're going to buy whatever. But I think that that is actually starting to turn some people off. Like, okay, the one card that was worth $1 million, it's just a stunt. I mean, and people can see stunts for what they are. They know when there's a stunt, right? I mean, they know, okay, that's a stunt. But they've had stunts like that the last 2 or 3 years where they're coming out with this, this goofball stuff, and people are starting to get they're getting product fatigue. They're getting product fatigue in terms of, okay, we've seen this before. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. Now, Mr. Gunn, profits can be increased by increasing efficiency, certainly, lowering operating costs, lowering payroll. Okay. Rising prices, selling a new and exciting product with higher margins, rising prices or raising prices. That $999 bullshit pack from Magic the Gathering, right? Was all about making a huge profit. How much did that cost them to make? Maybe $5-10 a pack, a box.
Same as a regular pack. It was no different.
Well, a little bit more.
A little more. Yeah, a little more.
But honestly, $999. That's a fuck you to your customer base. But here, I'll show you flat off the bat a 40% increase in the potential profit margin, maybe more. All right. So listen, your D&D books were $49.95. Now we know that Watsy is going to doing more direct distribution, and part of that direct distribution is direct sales. You buy a book from Watty, if it costs them $15 to make when they were selling it for $50, it's costing them $15 to make it whatever price they're selling it now. But when they were selling it through a distributor, price had to get lower. They start to sell to Amazon. Maybe they're selling it for $25. Maybe they're making $10 a book, and Amazon resells it for whatever. Not part of this point here. The point is they made it for $15. The retail price is $50. If I sell it directly to you for $50, I'm making $35 profit. But here's the deal. I am also going to make that if you order directly from us, you have to get it as a bundle, a digital bundle. Now remember, once digital is made, it has no further cost to it. It doesn't incur a monthly cost or a storage cost or a shipping cost. But if you're going to buy from us now, you got to spend $59.95, $60, because you're going to get but you'll get the D&D Beyond bundle 2 weeks earlier than the physical product. You'll get it before everybody. You'll be the new kid.
Right. And that's important.
And then after we make that announcement that you can only buy it by a bundle, we'll wait 2 or 3 months and then go, oh, by the way, we're raising the price on all our hardcovers to $59.95. Meaning the bundle is now $69.95. So they have
the oldest scam known to man.
Okay, no, they have effectively increased their direct-to-consumer profitability by $20 a sale without doing anything. They're not giving you more pages. They're not giving you better paper. They're not giving you a reach around. All right. What they are doing is saying, hey, give me the extra $20. Thank you very much. Enjoy the privilege of that 2 weeks early. Thank you. We were going to do that anyway. But give me the
if somebody's willing to pay it, what can you say? I mean, that's just business. If somebody's willing to pay, it's like Magic the Gathering, and people keep talking about how ridiculous, more and more ridiculous their stunts get, but they're still buying them. I mean, the only way to stop this shit is to stop buying it. Their people aren't willing to stop buying it. So if retailers are out there willing to pay for the privilege of getting something 2 weeks early, it's gonna continue. It's not gonna change. So this is just like, here's what's so fun. This is the ugly realities of every business, the whole business world. It's just that it's coming to your favorite hobby now. So now it's not so awesome because this is the ugly realities of business coming to Hobbyland. And so it's like when when we were talking about slabbing books a few weeks ago, and there's a lot of people like, well, you should never slab books because they deserve to be read. The information must be free, and how dare you, do this and that, and that's just okay. Well, great, but that's just a way that's the old way of doing business. The new way is people are going to start slabbing books. This is the same thing. People are going to start paying for these privileges, and if people don't like slabbing books, don't overpay for slab books. And guess what? People will probably do a slab book here and there, but it's not going to become a trend. And the same thing with paying early. If you don't want it to, if retailers really hate this thing, they'll stop doing it. But you know what? They're not going to stop doing it, Eric. They're going to do it because there's guys out there that will pay for the privilege of getting that stuff early.
Yeah. If Watty stopped overpaying artists for stealing work and running it through AI, the per book cost would be less. Explains $60 PDF.
Yeah, but here's the deal: is that they got caught with the AI and they had to backtrack and AI.
No,
AI. We were doing AI.
AI.
We've got AI in our books. What the hell?
No. We told them no. You can't do the AI. We got to replace the AI. You got to do it with it. IA. Do it with IA, not AI, and then you'll be okay.
It's what Gunn says true. I hate you, Watsy. Now shut up and take my money. That is the sad realities of most relationships with people with hobbies. Is they hate the fact that Transformer stuff has gotten so expensive. They hate comics are now $5 a piece. They hate this, but they just keep giving their money. And I'm about to say, you just brought up exactly what I was going to bring up. Games Workshop is the best example of toxic customer. Everybody that hates Games Workshop. Everybody hates Game Workshop. You would think that Games Workshop was the most unsuccessful company in the world by how many people hate Games Workshop. You know what? They're still making crap loads of money because people will hate buy. They hate their stuff, but they're going to buy an army because they want the army. But they hate the company. They hate it. And that's just the reality of the situation. If you want predatory practices and crappy product to stop, you'd stop buying it. But hobbyists are the worst. Collectors and hobbyists are the worst. You don't know how many people I know that hates, oh man, Star Wars is so bad now. Star Wars sucks. The new show sucks. This sucks. And then they run out and buy $500 worth of figures. Well, you're not changing in the world if you're sitting there giving them money. You could give them lip service all you want, how much it sucks. But when you run out there and you go to Disney and you you do the Star Wars experience and then you go buy the comic books and you go buy the novels and you go buy the toys, you're not helping it. You're not affecting anything. No. You're just telling them that they don't care if they do not care if you badmouth your product. The great Jerry Jones quote, owner of the Cowboys. I don't care if you like my team. I don't care if you hate my team, as long as you talk about my team. And that's exactly what these people, they don't care if you badmouth Star Wars stuff or Star Trek, whatever. All they're looking at is the bottom line. If the profits keep the same, they don't care. They don't care what you're saying about it. It wasn't proven years ago, Eric, that it doesn't matter if a negative review of Amazon has no purpose except that because all the Amazon cares about is engagement. All they care about is engagement. So negative review, positive review, it's not important. What's important is that you leave reviews. And if you leave reviews, that's all they care about. That's engagement. Engagement to them is more people on the site, more people looking at their advertising, more people that may go to, even if you leave a hate review, you're on Amazon leaving that hate review. You may go buy a pair of slippers after that or a pair of sneakers.
You're buying that product that you hate, and they don't care because they've already got your money for that. Listen, like YouTube, right? You can give it a thumbs up, you can give it a thumbs down, but if you give it a thumbs down, nobody fucking knows, right?
Nope.
Now,
because they don't show it anymore.
They didn't do that because it was good for YouTube. They did that because it was good for their large customers, their large commercial customers. Ooh, somebody's making me get all get all cool. They are the they did it because companies like Hasbro, companies like Google, those putting out the latest retread of a movie didn't like having their movies or their ads ratioed. It wasn't about YouTubers. It wasn't about
Absolutely
people
not.
like
No.
me and Mike or Professor DM or I don't know, Jimmy Dore or any of these political pundits had nothing. They didn't care if these guys get ratioed. Their concern, you could ratio any of these people. Russell Brand, ratio them. They don't care. But you ratio Hasbro or you ratio the D&D movie. Now that's an issue. So we gotta hide that, and that's why with the type of stuff that used to get ratioed, like a lot of movie trailers, you can't comment. They're closed to comments because they'd rather give up the engagement as far as YouTube is concerned over keeping I don't know, Paramount, Fox, or whoever happy, because in the end these are more of a revenue stream than your engagement will generate. But they also figure they have the rest of the channel to generate that engagement. I personally think I can look at my negative reactions. I and I can tell from the one or two that most videos get that are I could probably name, but I won't name them because it's kind of like Candyman. But I can name the individuals in question that are doing it because they're doing it out of pure spite. If you're doing it because, wow, Tenko was totally fucking wrong in that video talking about Watty and Hasbro. Tenko was talking out of his ass, and I could smell it from here. That's fine, but it's the I'm gonna downvote you because I don't personally like you. Well then, all right, whatever. I laugh at it. I can see it. I know what it is, and it doesn't make a hell of a difference. But for YouTube, the interactions are what gets these videos more viral.
And look at something like the idiots on Clownfish, who barely can spell their names, and yet they have this huge engagement because they specialize in outrage. Their whole thing is, and remember when they were loving on our buddy Justin because they were just loving on him because it was outrage. Oh man, this is so great that somebody took TSR back and they're going to publish old stuff, which never happened. But that they were just kissing his ass. This is going to be great. And then they never talked about him again. Why? Because they got what they wanted out of that one video, which was they got everybody riled up, and they probably had 8 million responses and people going back and forth and yelling and fighting. But then they just move on to the next outrage. It's all about generating outrage, and that's all that matters. And you have whole industries now. I mean, look at the Critical Drinker, who does hilarious reviews of movies, but the highest rated reviews he does are the negative ones because people love to see him rip on a movie because it's funny. He's hilarious. Right. The guy's freaking hilarious. But that creates a dilemma because every once in a while he does like a movie and leave it a positive review, but then that movie only has half the responses of the ones he leaves a negative for. So I feel sorry for the poor guy because he's like, well, I really did like this movie, but when I post this video, I'm only going to get half the engagement I normally get because I actually like the video. So that's kind of the dilemma of these guys. At least he's honest about it, and he does still post positive reviews because if he just posted negative reviews, he would make a lot more engagement money and a lot more viewers if he just posted negatives. But because that is all that. I mean, everybody, look, you guys know this, right? I mean, we're not throwing out like bon mots of truth here. I mean,
Mike, you're telling into that secrets. You can't do that.
Everybody knows this. The only people who know this are the dum-dums that do engage with these people and think that they're making a point. It's like when somebody, and this happens every once in a while, when there's just some absolute idiot on the internet, and then somebody keeps engaging with them, and then I've asked them, why do you keep engaging with numbnuts? Well, because somebody has to call him to task. I said, you're doing just what the guy wants. You're playing absolutely in his hands because that is exactly, it's like a stalker. What does a stalker want? Attention. What do you not want to give a stalker attention? The minute you ignore a stalker, they get really angry, and then they up and up and up, and then they eventually disappear because you're not engaging. The worst thing you do with a stalker is engage, because then they're like, oh, I'm getting the engagement I wanted. And that's what police officers, what you were one of, would tell you is don't interact with these guys. Do not interact. And I have had friends that have been stalked, and it drives me crazy when they interact with the guy. Because I'm like, especially, this is 90% of the time women. And I'm like, you're giving the guy exactly what he wants. No, I told him what an asshole he was. Exactly what he wanted. Exactly.
You gave engagement. That is not what you want.
I texted. He texted me 50 times. I texted him back 50 times to tell him what an idiot he was. Just what he wanted was that engagement you gave.
I'm gonna take it even a little bit further than that. So you get that annoying text message, right, where somebody is trying to, your Citibank card is overdrawn.
Those are always great.
The following link and correct this, and I always take them and go spam.
Yeah, spam, junk, boom, gone.
Rach will respond as a good American Irish woman.
No, Rach, no.
C-word, go. Your mom is this. And I was like, and she's all excited about the fact that I just told them where to stick it up their ass and I go, why? Because I'm tired of this shit. I go,
it's a robot. It's an AI. They don't care. Wait, all they wrote down was,
by you responding, all you're doing is telling the other side, hey, we have a live one here.
Oh, there's a human being on the other side of this.
This person reads these text messages. He's like, what's that? It means you're going to get more. You're going to keep getting this shit as long as you respond.
Back when you used to have, we don't get spam calls anymore. When you used to get spam calls, I just hung up. I mean, you get it, hang up, click, block, number block, boom. Then there you go. Problem solved. Yeah. My wife would talk to the people. Sometimes, this not always. This is just, or listen to them. I'm like, what? Hang up the phone. Don't give them even 2 seconds. Now we don't get spam calls anymore, which is great. But I mean that used to be the terrible thing, was you get these stupid spam calls, and the best thing to do is just immediately hang up and just or even not answer the phone, because you see on there your little message would come up, spam call. Oh, cool, spam call. Boom. Not gonna deal with that. Block. Just don't. Maybe women feel like they have to be kind of polite sometimes, and I think that's more a woman thing than a guy thing. That the guys
is Rachel being polite when she tells them?
Well, she's making herself feel better by calling them names. But that's not. This relates back to our subject matter, because I think that we have that the exact same thing is probably happening right now in the RPG industry, and that we're engaging. We're not engaging positively, but I think that the engagement itself is what's keeping these companies going. They just care about look. It'd be hilarious to find out 10 years from now that somebody from Watty goes, oh yeah, we were doing all that crappy stuff back in 2023 because we just wanted you guys to talk about us a lot. So we made a dumb mistake every 3 weeks. So you guys would just like yak about us, and then InWorld would cover us and talk about what idiots we were. And then RPG Net would talk about us. And then Professor DM and Dungeon Damsel would talk about how stupid we were. That was a master plan. I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be like, wow, you guys win. Because we talked about you all during 2023. You if that was your aim, you absolutely won. You won the contest, because you're keeping yourself in the news. I mean, personally, I don't think it's a very positive light, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is part of the master plan. Master plan to be on our lips, and that way, when the 50th anniversary comes around, everybody will be going, oh, what stupid thing will Watty do next year? And maybe they'll trick us all and won't do anything stupid, and they'll be like, oh, whoa, hold on, what happened? Oh, we were just screwing you around. 2023 was a screw around year, man. We let the interns have the stuff. We didn't care what they did. We just wanted people talking about us. Thanks for talking about us, man. That was awesome.
Well, look now. folks, I don't know if my viewers have been following what's going on in Canada and the EU, but we're too small for this to affect us. We can speak our mind.
Yeah,
Mike and I could even jump 2 feet into politics, and they'd be like,
"Boy, yeah, nobody cares what we talk about." So,
but if you like political pundits on YouTube, whether they're on the left or the right, or those that somehow straddle the middle ground, you're going to see. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is going to be, because what Canada and the EU have coming into power right now is anything that they disagree with is going to be considered that M word, misinformation, or lawful but awful. And I think Mike and I could often be lawful but awful. But I mean, it's going to certainly change the free speech, free thinking aspect of a platform like YouTube. And I know we've probably talked about it in the past during the pandemic. That listen, there were disclaimers put up on some of these videos, or not disclaimers, like the auto-generated. They mentioned the pandemic at the end. Well, we got to make sure that you get your information from the right place. So here's a link to the CDC. It's going to go beyond that. So if you're like many people, you come to YouTube, or I guess even Rumble or wherever, to get more than just 2 jackasses like me and Mike talking to you, that's going to change. It's not going to change because it's what you want, or what I want, or what YouTube wants, because they want engagement, and they're going to lose a lot of engagement. It's what the powers that be, and whether that powers that be governmental, or whether it be what we call mainstream media, that's going to be affecting this melting pot or cesspool of free thinking, because it's a little bit of both. So we're entering interesting times.
What is exactly the penalties in Canada for spreading misinformation or information the government doesn't want you to talk about?
I'm not even sure, but we do know that during the pandemic, that could include, I guess, taking away your banking access. We saw that. You participate in a protest, which in most Western countries would be considered a legal and lawful thing to do. You could lose access to banking. And since
why do I always get in arguments with people when they insist that other countries have total free speech, and I point stuff out like that? And that's absolutely not free speech. So I don't understand why people.
So now,
no, Australia has free speech, except you can't talk about this. I always hear that. I'm like, I don't get it. No, that's not free speech. And the same thing with Canada. Oh, no, Canada has free speech. You just can't talk about this, and this. Oh,
right.
Well,
that's where listen. Other and we'll just talk about the Anglo countries at the moment: Canada, UK, New Zealand, Australia. You don't have the ability, and it's not you can't yell fire in a movie theater type of restriction. It's you can't yell "I don't like you" restriction.
So why do we get so much pushback when we talk about that? We always get some Canadian or Australian who jumps, or New Zealander that jumps on and says, "Oh, no, you guys are crazy, man. We got free speech in our country all over the place."
You don't.
And you really don't.
Now let's start out with this. The United States, you have free speech with some restrictions to it, but it is free speech that is guaranteed by the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Why is that? Because our country's founding fathers, women weren't really involved in government at the time, at least not on an official basis. So I don't want to be getting anybody angry, but our founding fathers could see the issues with restricting speech.
Yeah.
and wanted to get that's one of our.
Well, a lot of them they lived under a monarch. They lived under monarchy, which you couldn't say like, you know what, the king sucks balls because boom, you're in the stocks or you're getting your head chopped off. Whoa, wait, hold on. I just had free speech. No, you don't have free speech. You can't say bad things about the king, dude. You're messed up. You're gone.
You can say whatever you want, but you can't say that.
Yeah.
But so United States, you're not to get too political, but yes, you're right. You're getting chipped away. That's just part of the process. But other countries are losing them fast. It's weird to see these events going on in the world and the coverage that changes from country to country.
Get out! Yes, finally.
Oh,
it was 5-0. They were pitching a no-hitter, man. And then finally the Rangers just pounded a 2-run homer. Nice. Goodbye, no-hitter. Goodbye, shutout, brother.
Get out!
Goodbye.
Get out!
Yeah, get out of here.
Don't molest me.
Yeah. Hey, Astros, how about you want to hear this? How about if I turn it up over there, Astros? Boom. Nice. All right, now we got a game going, man. I thought we were gonna get no hit tonight, man. I was not happy. All right. I'm sorry. I told you I was gonna. It just took 5 innings for anything to happen in the damn game. For at least for me. I mean, if you're an Astros fan, you've been cheering the whole time. So
baseball ended the end of last month for me. I'm a
oh no, dude, this is one of the few years the Yankees aren't good. I mean, and they weren't just not good this year. They were freaking. They're talking about stringing up Cashman, man. Cashman, they want his head on a pike up there in New York. I listened to sports shows all the way up from Dallas, and man, those East Coast sports shows were not happy with how Cashman ran the team this year. They were not happy. They want that guy strung up. So I don't know what went on there this year, but apparently it wasn't good stuff. So,
Loudon Press in Australia, you are not free to protest. If you don't fill out the form, they will arrest you. If your rally is good, active. Media is also really controlled. You're free to agree with the government.
Oh boy. I thought Mike went full Biden there. I was just having a seizure. Now watching the game in the background. So
it's like Mike's phone and he can't get up. But it is. We take a lot of things for granted in the hobby, right? We took the OGL for granted, right? We thought they can't revoke the OGL. Wait a second there. They're revoking the OGL. But it says you can't. Oh, it doesn't say you can't revoke it. It says perpetuity until we say no.
So I have a bet with Mark Greenberg, and I don't know. I'm still on the edge here. So the bet was by the end of 2024, the OGL will be revoked. And I don't know. I mean, it's still a year, but I'm kind of sweating it. They don't look like they've let it alone for a while. They've let it alone. They're backing off. But I owe them a bottle of booze if they don't revoke it. So I don't know. They may. I wonder if they just let it go and then just make it more incentives to not use it and then just not revoke it or do they wait to the 50th anniversary actual come out with not version 5.5, not version 5.1, not version 6.0, and then say, okay, yeah, since we have this new version out, you guys have been using Creative Commons for a while, we're going to get rid of the OGL because you guys don't really use the OGL. I mean, it's not, nobody uses it.
Who uses the OGL?
Nobody uses
the OGL. Hi, Shannon. She's watching. She's like, you want to live stream? Give me a shout out.
I mean, they have all these, they're going to say, well, you've had plenty of time to switch to Creative Commons. I mean, plenty of time. That there's really no reason you should be using the OGL.
Why would anybody want to use a license such as the OGL? All it does is encourage people to use your work. You don't want people using your work to make more work, to make better products. We don't want that. What we want you to do is use the Creative Commons and therefore don't encourage people to use your work and build off the other.
Except that you have people now coming out saying, I'm going to use Creative Commons plus it's open source. Anybody can use this game, which I think that is a great idea. I really think that's the way to go with that, is to make it I know that Matt Finch is dabbling in that a little bit, although he's not fully there. He's not quite there yet.
Oh God, what's the name? There are different alternatives to the OGL and the ORC license that have been released.
Yes.
Because little quick overview on the ORC license. Kobold Press, and say what you will about them. I know they're love or hate. You can love the content and not necessarily like the teams behind it. That's fine. Nobody says that you have to like the individuals.
Right.
So before anybody gets all their knickers in a bunch, I'm just throwing it out there. So they put out their initial alpha beta SRD for Black Flag. Now, yes. What I find very interesting is Black Flag is no longer the name of the RPG, right? The name of the RPG is Tales of the Valiant.
It's like an old school, what do they call those things during the 50s? A cereal. It's an old cereal. One of those cereals that came out. Episode 15 of Tales of the Valiant. Well, the Bushmaster strikes, So.
Right. Well, Prince Valiant. Right? It makes me think of Prince Valiant. Why do you want your RPG? Oh! Mike's in the past the kidney stone, right?
Oh, baby. Center fielder Rangers went to the wall and jumped over it and grabbed the home run. Stole the home run. Sweet. All right. We're coming back in this game. We're going to lose,
but make Mike happy right now.
Go ahead.
But, they're realizing now that Black Flag was probably a better name for their RPG.
It was catchy, man. It's a catchy. I think one of the major somebody's fucking with my door. Hold on a second. I think somebody's trying to get in my room.
Uh-oh.
All right. We'll see this.
See, that's what I thought was happening before. Get out! Oh, he's watching baseball.
No, it's just the guy next door. I keep hearing him. I'm sorry. I keep thinking Bill Barsh is going to come by and screw with me. So or Ben Barsh. They both did.
So, that would be,
No, but I think what I remember hearing, this is secondhand from Black Flag, is that it didn't talk about what the game is. Well, that's not important. Pathfinder, everybody thought that was kind of a goofball name at first.
Right, it had nothing to do with the game.
You're finding a path, you're finding whatever. And it's iconic now. It's absolutely iconic. I think the same thing would have been with Black Flag. I think they also, once again, I heard this secondhand. Well, they're going to think it's a pirate game because it's about Black Flag, and pirate games do terrible. Nobody buys pirate games, which is true. Pirate games do terrible. But I think that was a much catchier moniker. I think that was absolutely catchiest. Tales of the Valiant does not roll off the tongue, and it still doesn't really tell you what the game's about. Okay, it's about, whatever. It's Tales of the Valiant. I don't know. Not that Dungeons and Dragons necessarily tells you a lot about the game. It's catchy because it's alliterative, and it's and we're used to it by now. Oh, D&D, that's awesome. But yeah, I don't think that's necessarily should be a something you worry about. Is just not talking about what the game's about. Just make it catchy. And Black Flag was catchy as hell.
It was catchy, yes. So now Black Flag Alphabet, you can download the rules. I didn't look at them yet. I honestly did. I look. I downloaded them, but I downloaded them to see the licensing, and it's licensed under ORC, referring to the 5.1 SRD released on the Creative Commons. So you can use the two licenses together, because moving downward, if you build off the ORC license, you have to include that you're building also off of the 5.1 SRD.
Yes.
And it's the same thing if you use Matt Finch's license from Mythmere Games. You can build off of I almost say the OGL. You can build off the SRD of D&D, but you can't use the OGL, but you can use Creative Commons if you're watching the Prince Valiant. There you go. And yes, Facebook with the Snoop Dogg DM. I was like, and I can't get the Facebook AI shit to work. Believe me, I've researched it. I wanted to hey, let's do this AI adventure together. Couldn't get it to. It doesn't like. Look,
they're going to be much better AI DMs as the the game as it rolls on. They'll be. I have no, we're just talking about this tonight about because the big thing now is AI art and how everybody's like, oh, AI art's terrible. We're not going to use AI art. If you use AI art, we're going to boycott your material. I mean, going on. And I brought up something that I think people need to think about. Really think about this. You know who doesn't care about AI art are young people. They don't care about it at all. That they'll buy AI art, they'll use AI art. They don't understand why old people are upset about AI art, and that's what happens in most technology. Is that old people go rah rah rah, no, yeah, and then young people just go, yeah, we'll use it. We don't care. And then it just comes about because the old people die off, and the new people are like, oh yeah, AI art's cool. Yeah, we'll do this. And so I think that's a consideration. But yeah, pretty soon you're going to have AI DMs that are going to be awesome. They'll be able to run a game. It's not going to be as good as a human being, no. But you know what? It'd probably be good as some of the DMs I've had over the years. Some of the convention games I've been in. I bet you it'd be better than a few of those. And so it like everything else, it's just going to improve and get better. And pretty soon be like, oh man, my AI DM ran a game for us. It was awesome, man. He did a good job.
We only got to pay 99 cents an hour.
We had to buy our tokens, but still awesome. It was an awesome game. But yeah, I think that's interesting. Pay attention to that, Eric. Look online on Facebook and look at the people that talk about AI. The young people don't care, Eric. They really don't. It doesn't bother them to use AI art or to create AI art. They don't understand why the old people are all upset. They're like, look, it's stealing art from other people. It's scraping this and that. They're like, so what? Because that's how they've grown up.
Right. They've grown up doing the internet their whole lives.
Yeah.
How they did their term papers in school.
They did they used Wikipedia, which is how'd you do your term paper? Yeah, they went and used Wikipedia and stole everything off Wikipedia. Yeah, so that they're not a stranger to this, and that they just don't care. And so I think it's really interesting. All the pages I see that are anti-AI art, it's always old people, and the young people are just like, no bother, doesn't bother us at all. We'll use it, we'll consume it, we'll make comics with it, we'll do whatever with it. And it's like any new technology. It's just, look, let's go back to 1910. Well, I have a what's that thing driving around the street? What's that thing? That's a Model T. Oh, I'm never going to use a Model T. And the kids are like, ooh, get me in one of those, man. That is oh man. It goes 10 miles an hour. It goes 10 freaking miles an hour on the street. That thing is kick ass. Yeah, I want one of those Model Ts. Hell yes. And that's the way almost this technology ends up being accepted. Is young people start using it, and then the old fogey guys pushed out the door. And so,
here's you have to realize too. It's and you're only seeing that reaction from people that are wired in. People that aren't wired in don't give a flying fuck.
They don't care, and they don't understand. They don't understand the issues. And honestly, Joe Normal, not Joe George, my buddy, Joe Normal. You explain the issues to them, they don't understand. They don't get it. They're like, well, it scrapes art from other people. Isn't that what people do? They copy art from other people anyway. No. You don't understand. Art that people didn't give permission to, they're scraping their art and using it. And the Joe Normal says, I don't understand. If Fred draws a picture and Bob steals it, Fred didn't give him his permission, and Bob still. I mean, they used to call that swiping when they did it in comic books. They do it all. They just don't get the issues. They're not, like you said, if they're not plugged in, they're not getting the issues. And I think that's a big issue. That's a big thing that's going to come up to it. I think unfortunately AI art's it's here to stay. And it's going to be something that people use, and people are going to protest against it and say, I'm not going to buy your product. But like we just talked about the whole last hour and a half, you have to have a critical mass of people not buy product. I mean, right now, Watsy's saying all the right things, but you know what, Eric? They've never said they're never going to use AI art ever again.
No,
they will not say that. There's no way they're going to say that. That they've said that they'll consider this or that. And what was the thing they said is that most of their stuff will not be. They did it real weaselly. It was like most of their things will not be AI or humans will have to be behind most of the.
Humans
I got to find the quote.
The majority. So they're actually saying. It can be used as a tool, and here's where it gets a little weird. How far is Photoshop along to being AI in certain ways? If you're using Photoshop in the artwork that you're doing, how far are you getting there? And
I still have. So my buddy Jason Bronkowski, who's at the con, by the way, I'll go say hi to him tomorrow. He does digital art. He does all. I mean, he draws too, but his most of his art is digital, and it has been digital for almost 10 years. And I was on a thread the other day where I wasn't on thread, but I was watching it. It was an argument about AI art, and there was old school artists on there. They're going, yeah, digital art isn't even real art. So they still believe that. There's old school artists that still believe the digital art is not really drawing. It's not real art. And I beg to differ, man. There's lots of great artists out there that use digital art. I'm sorry. They do. And so I know that Lloyd dabbles in that too. Lloyd Metcalf. There's a lot of artists that use digital art. That is real art. And when that came out, there was a huge protest against digital art. It's not really drawing. Now it's more accepted now. Nobody really thinks about it, but there's still some old school guys that grumble and say that's not really drawing and this and that. It's like anything else. The old people are going to be pushed out the door and they're going to be bitching the whole time. And the young people will be like, yeah, well, here's my AI artwork. Whatever you say, Daddy-O. You old fogey, we're going to do what we want over here, So, that's one of those things I wish I was going to be alive in 25 years to see. I don't think I'll be alive in 25 years, but if I am, I'd just love to see where this develops. Because it seems like it's going to be really interesting in the next 25 years because, man, AI is going to have some major changes in society. It's going to be over the top, the kind of changes you get since I read an article the other day, and I don't know if you saw this one. Did you see the article about the kid that used AI to decipher some Roman papyruses that were burned in Mount Vesuvius? So they had found these papyruses that were burned in Mount Vesuvius, and you couldn't read them, but you could make out part of it. And they were going to give these awards to people that could make these out so they could actually read them. A kid used an AI program to figure out the words. He used some kind of AI predictive program, and he won the award. Now he changed his major. He was going to do something else, and now his major is computer science. And there's actually, you can get a degree. I'm not kidding, Eric, in papyrology, which is the study of papyruses. The study of papyruses, papyrology, and there's actual experts like in Egypt and stuff. They're experts in papyri. I don't know how to say it. Papyrology, papyruses. And so, but yeah, he used an AI program that now he's going to work on and try to make it better so he can read even more of this stuff. So we're going to be able to read these papyruses that were burned in Mount Vesuvius that look like just like a burnt hot dog. You can't read them. They have to use X-rays to even see the letters on there. This kid's going to figure out how to read them all, which is going to be wild. So, the AI is here to stay. People don't like it. Sorry. It's just going to happen. I feel bad for the grumpy Gusses that aren't digging, but and I don't, I agree with a lot of the issues with it too. I absolutely agree with some of those, especially when you're using your artwork without permission to scrape on. But man, I don't know how you stop this train from rolling.
I don't know. Oh, Ellen wants to know if Wizards will team with Hero Force to sell minis from the 6E VTT. You know what? I don't see them giving. I don't see them selling STLs for 3D printers for that. No, they're gonna, because that's like giving an OGO license to others to sell it. No. They are going.
They're turtling. They're pulling back. They're not going out. Right? I mean, they're everything they're doing now is turtling in. They're not. They're not. Yeah, they're not your friendly neighborhood Watsy anymore. they're gonna. Yeah, they're doing everything they can.
They're the anti-OGL, and again, the Creative Commons wasn't given to you because it's better than the OGL. It was given because it is more restrictive than the OGL.
Absolutely. That's the best way to put it, Eric. It's not better. It's just something they can absolutely 100% fully control. And
right.
That's
if the OGL was better for Watsy, it would have been kept. They wouldn't give you another, and they haven't pulled it away, but they're also giving you another license to use. And
they've neutered it. They neutered it enough to where they're hoping you just move on. And
it makes me nervous about publishing under the OGL. So
absolutely,
it makes me nervous. It's probably making others nervous. Herculaneum scrolls, papyri.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. Yeah, the Herculaneum ones. That was a city. Herculaneum was a city near Pompeii that also got kind of destroyed. But since it wasn't right there by Mount Vesuvius, a lot of the Herculaneum stuff actually survived. So that they're able to go through there and dig out stuff. And most of the stuff in Pompeii was just absolutely just fried. So, but Herculaneum. Herculaneum was a huge city back then too. By the way, it was like Pompeii. It was a coast city, if I remember correctly. It was really big. So I'm not up on my Greek history. I'm sorry, friends, but
don't look at me.
In another life, look, when I retire, I'm going to start. I am fascinated by Greek and Roman history. I just have spent very little time in my life on it because I don't have time. I'm doing too many things. But someday I'm gonna dig into that. I'll probably go to Greece, maybe go to Rome and check out stuff. My little brother's been. I've never been. He loved it. He loved Greece. He loved Rome. So I'll be back someday. I'll go there someday. See the homeland.
The homeland.
Watsy was friendly when assuming from Palladium. No, I mean, everybody's that's the other thing too, is everybody steals from somebody. Come on, man. I mean, look, I know Gary and them, Gary's people don't want to say this, but that stuff that was stolen from Tolkien and Conan, right? I mean, that was the whole point, is to make a game. How, here's how D&D was pitched to me, Eric. You get to play Conan the Barbarian. And then the other one was you get to play the Fellowship of the Ring. That's how it was pitched to me when I was a kid. Like, oh, well, I like Conan and I like Lord of the Rings. That's kind of cool.
Well, and it also is stealing from Moorcock, right? Law and Chaos.
Big time, yeah.
Remember, that was your alignment initially. You were lawful, you were chaotic, or you were neutral. It wasn't these 9 degrees of separation going on.
I'm chaotic, neutral, lawful, something, whatever, ninja, turtle, whatever. Yeah, no, it was just chaos, lawful, chaotic, neutral. Yes,
the RPG is coming back.
Really?
Yep. Oh. Palladium got the license back. I think it's kickstarting at the end of the month.
Oh boy. Well, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not going near Palladium anymore. Sorry. That stuff. I got too much stuff going on. Look, there is a lot of really good Kickstarters that come out. I just backed James Shields' Mace Kickstarter the other day. That ended the other day. He funded, which is awesome. Man, there's too much OSR stuff coming out now. I'm not delving into any of these other companies, I think, for a while. I'm trying to think what I would buy from another company. I mean, I wanted to buy the Harn stuff, but I sat there and looked at it and I took my pledge back because I'm like, I'm already I'm buried under OSR releases. I got a stack of digest that tall on my desk, Eric, that I haven't read yet, and they're all awesome. I just got Gary's Appendix. I just got the new Gary's Appendix. It's awesome. All this. I mean, I'm getting this OSR digest stuff that's kick ass. I don't have time for Palladium shit. I'm sorry, man.
Palladium shit.
I have no time for that. I don't even have time for. I love Call of Cthulhu. I don't have time for Call of Cthulhu anymore.
No, I know. I gotta. It's October. I need to get something in for CSC. You know what, folks? It is nearing 10 o'clock here on the East Coast. Bad Mike is going to stroke out if we don't let him watch his.
We're at the. Let me see what we're doing here. We're on the bottom of the 6th inning, 5-2. It's a close game. We're still we're still hanging in there. So yeah, I'm probably going to sit up here and yell for a little bit longer and go downstairs and see what's going on in the lobby.
So folks, thank you all for the very active live stream.
Thank you for. We had no topics, so thank you very much for. Giving us topics. Thanks for giving us stuff to talk about.
That was good. I do appreciate it. Mike appreciates it.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I might have to check out the TNT books.
Oh, yeah.
I might have to.
Yeah. I think it's cool. Once again, I don't have any time to play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So.
No PDS by order of Paramount. That's an interesting one.
Who said that?
Folks.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Yes. Thank you very much, everybody. Sorry we didn't have more. Oh, there we go. Another single. All right. Well, that's a double. That's a double.
As always, folks, be safe. Be well. God bless. Roll this dice. Roll them well. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, we have the hangout over on the Discord side. Next live stream should be myself and Glenn Hellstrom, I think, right?
Oh, Glenn. By the way, Glenn sent me Glenn is he's the coolest dude ever. He sent me a box of he's been sending me all his old DVDs. I don't know why, but he does. I got a wonderful box of DVDs from him again. I don't even know how to pay this guy back. He sent me like a stack of movies that high that I got to start watching. So thanks, Glenn, and I'll try to pop in and say hi to Glenn Friday because he's awesome, awesome dude, man, a legend. He's a legend in broadcasting.
Legend, I tell you, legend.
Unlike us.
On that note,
Later.
Thank you all. God bless.
Go to Gamehole Con. Back the end of everything. Frog God Game Kickstarter. And see if you're at Gamehole, come say hi to me, please. I'd love to meet you.
Yes, say hi to Mike. Give him a smooch for me.
I'll be at the Frog God booth. Say hi to me.
Oh, it's a kissing booth.
Yes. Oh, yes. Hell yes.
I knew it.
Extra buck. You get a little tongue in there.
Yeah.